Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new day of Road to TCG Worlds 2016. Still using the Bronzong break deck. It has worked out pretty well so far this week. Yesterday's Spanish video featured a really nice game against a Mega Manectric deck, which somehow, some way I managed to win, especially despite a very weird start. And Bronzong Break ended up being the star of the show. Bronzong Break actually managed to get 2 KOs on 2 different Pokemon EX. And I probably should have checked what my opponent was using from that mulligan. And wow, my second mulligan gives me 3 Bronzongs. So I'm really enjoying using this deck. It is a plant deck, I knew that. It's actually superior. So now I wish I had the stadium that gives Steel Shelter, that gives you protection against special conditions. But that's not gonna happen, clearly. Now, the new Bronzong hasn't been too useful, or useful at all, really. I've heard a lot about my opponent's deck, so it'll be interesting to see what he does with that. I'm not gonna grab anything, I'm gonna end anyways. I've heard a lot about Superior. I know some friends of mine from Argentina were considering using it for their national championship. So maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe it has more potential than I'm giving it credit for. But I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, it has a nice mechanic. It's definitely a different strategy than usual, but... And wow, there's 2 Metal Energy price. I don't know. It seems like in a longer game you would definitely run out of resources. And I'm not gonna bench the Aegislash to draw an extra card for Shaymin, because having 3 Bronzong in play has been honestly very crucial, and I don't foresee definitely don't foresee my opponent running any sort of special energy. So I think it's better to try and use Genesect more, potentially use Bronzong Break, and definitely my switching cards are going to be really important here. The Switch, the Escape Rope, and potentially AC as well, because of Servine's ability that paralyzes the active Pokemon. On a flip, yes, but I'm sure my opponent's deck is designed really well in order to have you paralyzed a lot of the time. So there's an Ultra Ball. 2 Servines in the discard pile. So my opponent probably runs the Revitalizer, which gets you grass Pokemon off of the discard pile. We know he runs the Forest of Giant Plants. There it is. And there's the first Servine. So he flips Tails. That's only when you play the card from your hand. No Superior. Okay, he gets another shot at a flip. No Superior means Miltank will not do too much damage, but he does get 1 heads flip, which makes sense. He will be able to use Shaymin-EX once again, so maybe he will get the Superior right now. Looks like my opponent is pulling off the combo really nicely. There's Superior, 80, okay. Does it have free retreat? No, it has a 2 retreat gust. So, 100 damage. I wasn't even going to be able to attack next turn anyways, I don't think. Well, I do get the AC. But if I get the AC, I cannot, no. Gonna keep the Fighting Fury belt. Well, I don't know. Maybe. No. Gonna keep the Fighting Fury belt. I'm gonna attach that to Genesect. I'm gonna attach the Floatstone to a Bronzor. I'm gonna evolve the Bronzor. And I'm gonna Sycamore for 7 cards. I can let Aegislash take another hit. I can also remove the Stadium card, which is definitely good for us. I don't want to evolve into this Bronzong, and my hand ended up not being too good. I will Metal Links, however, but getting no energy or another Bronzong could potentially set us back a turn. I also don't have a way to switch out my Aegislash on the next turn, so I don't know. I just hope he keeps using Servine's ability. Okay, no. Simply attaches an energy, benches another thingy, and okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I can save my Aegislash, but then I do not have an ability. Well, I think it's definitely worth it to save the Aegislash. Thing is, well, I'm gonna prevent price cards from getting drawn, so I'm gonna pick up the Aegislash. I'm gonna promote Shaymin because nothing on my opponent's deck can deal enough damage to KO Shaymin. I'm gonna bench the Aegislash once again, and I'm gonna pass here because next turn I have the Berserker. I can AC once again the Shaymin, Metal Links first onto the Genesect and get my KO onto the very annoying Miltank. Now my opponent also wastes a Servine ability, so that's great. Shaymin survives with 10 HP just like the Aegislash, so I'm getting lucky there, if you will, although not really. I'm gonna keep the Switch, but I'm not gonna use it right now. I'm actually going to use the AC on the Shaymin because if I use the AC on the Genesect next turn, if he gets a paralysis, that means I cannot. Oh, okay, no, never mind. I thought I made the wrong play. I was getting ahead of myself. I had to Metal Links first. Should have used Metal Links first, but yeah. I'd rather use the Switch onto the Genesect so that I can keep the energy attached. And now, okay, so I'm gonna attach the Muscle Plant to the Aegislash. I'm gonna bench the other Aegislash because now I do have the space. I could evolve Bronzor, but I really don't want to. Just gonna draw 2 cards off of Shaymin. I do get this Bronzor, Bronzong rather, which is great, so that I can start powering up another Aegislash. And yeah, we're in a pretty good position, honestly, especially because I do have that Switch. So I'm gonna Rapid Blaster. I'm not gonna discard any energy. Doing this amount of, or rather not discarding any energy, is enough to KO the 100 HP Miltank. I get another Floatstone, which is great. Could potentially retreat Genesect if I need to. And my opponent has teammates, okay. So I'm sure we're gonna see some way to try and paralyze the Genesect. Even though I did show the Switch to my opponent the previous turn. 80 damage, nothing too important. He actually finds a Super Scoop Up, so that's fine. It's generally pretty okay by me. If he doesn't evolve into Servine, then I have no reason to use the Switch. If he does, then I use the Switch and it's the same thing. He actually opts not to, and he uses Coil. During your next turn, this Pokemon attack does 60 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I would assume the effect is on this Serperior only, right? Because it says this Pokemon's attack. So if I KO Serperior, I should be fine, right? If and when I KO Serperior, I should be fine here. I really should be fine. Discarding 2 energy means 150 damage. That's a KO. The next superior should not KO Genesect-EX. I'm pretty sure it shouldn't. I took an Ultra Ball so I can find another Bronzor, which is great in terms of powering up my Pokemon. There's a Servine. Now he gets to paralyze, but he actually whiffs. Servine only does 20 damage, so it's no big deal. He finds a Revitalizer, grabs Snivy and grabs Servine. So he's gonna try for another paralysis. Gets another Heads on Super Scoop Up, and wow. Okay, so my opponent flipping a ton of Heads right now. Puts back energy and the superior. I'm guessing he will? Nope. Oh, because there's no stadium, so he cannot immediately evolve that Snivy into Servine. Which might mean I get to retreat Genesect for free with the Floatstone, thanks to its ability, so that's pretty nice. And I get to use 2 Metal Links to power up the Aegislash and get another KO, and conserve the Switch in order to use it the next turn. So things are playing out really nicely. And like I said, my opponent's deck, it seems fancy. You can pull off some fancy nice plays with Servine and everything like that, with paralysis, but it definitely feels like in a longer game you would struggle, or you need like all the flips to go your way. Now he does flip Heads this time around, so okay, I do top deck a Battle Compressor. I'm definitely gonna get rid of a Lysander so that I can use them with Rare Seeker, and 2 more Metal Energy. And then I'm going to use Metal Links twice now because it did counter my Stadium and he got the Heads flip. Man, I wish he had only gotten 1 head. He got Heads on 2 Super Scoop Ups and the Servine ability. That's really nice. Okay, so I get to play the Switch. I actually don't get another prize card here. And he's gonna deal a ton of damage. It's gonna deal 60 more damage, so 140 damage. I'm actually gonna promote the Aegislash. And I could end, but that's not going to help me. I could Ultra Ball. I'm gonna get rid of this Bronzong and a Sycamore. And I'm gonna grab a Bronzong Break, because you never know. You never know. Bronzong Break has been pretty useful in the past for us. And I'm just gonna pass the turn. If it doesn't paralyze me, I do have the Floatstone available to retreat the Aegislash. And I will have enough energy now on Aegislash or potentially Genesect in order to KO as a superior. And I'm simply preventing my opponent from drawing any prize cards. Wow, he went for Hex Maniac. Ugh. So, oh, he's actually gonna Lysander. So he's gonna KO the thingy, the Genesect. That's fine. That's generally fine. I'm gonna promote the Bronzong Break. I'm going to use Metal Links once so that I can KO Superior. There we go. Gonna conserve the Floatstone just yet, and I'm simply going to end my opponent. Down to 4 cards from the 5 he has. Startling Megaphone, not useful at all. I do, however, get a Bronzong. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to retreat into Aegislash, and I'm going to start powering up the Bronzong Break, because that means, I mean, next turn I can potentially KO Shaymin-EX, and there's a victory. So yeah, my opponent probably drew quite bad off of the end, and he didn't have a follow-up to the superior. He also didn't have a follow-up in terms of Snivy and Servines. so probably wasn't going to be able to paralyze me and therefore prevent me from taking another prize card, and that Shaymin sitting on the bench meant Bronzong Break was going to be able to pick it off and win me the match. So now it seems like we're up against Greninja, which purely based on theory and how I built my Greninja, with which I won 2 regional championships, and how this deck has been working so far, I would have to guess this is a really poor matchup for this deck. It's all basic energy, so Aegislash's Mighty Shield protection doesn't help you. We only have one Genesect-EX, so we cannot get back-to-back one-hit KOs. He can prevent us from using Metal Link, so a lot can go wrong in this match. But a lot of things could potentially go right as well. A single Aegislash-EX powered up could potentially run through my opponent's deck. Actually, that Shaymin ends up being terrible because I get another Sycamore off of it. And okay, still no Bronzor, but at least I can find it myself. The thing here is gonna get rid of the Metal Energy and the Aegislash. Gonna find a Bronzor. I'm also going to bench the Genesect-EX, and the question is, do I Shaymin once again? Probably not. I definitely need 2 Bronzors in this match, so I'm just gonna pass the turn for now. Maybe you could consider the Bronzor, or the Shaymin rather, if I figure I can get a KO next turn with Bronzong and an energy off of my hand. So maybe discarding the energy was not such a great idea, but there's no guarantee I will draw the compressor either, so I don't know. It's difficult to know at this point in time if discarding the energy was the right play or not, and there's so many scenarios where it can be the right play, and there's so many others where it can be the wrong play, that it's impossible to say whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. I don't know. It's complicated. Definitely complicated. So my opponent could paralyze me here. It doesn't really make a difference because if I do switch, I'm gonna be using the switch. He does use Bubble, he flips Tails. And actually this last weekend where I won the regionals, okay, so top decking the compressor means discarding the Metal Energy was not a good idea. I'm only gonna discard 2 so that I still have a shot at drawing some. And I'm gonna get rid of this Bronzong because even though Greninja places damage counters onto the bench, it doesn't really deal damage counters in terms of damage. And okay, I don't like doing this, but I think I have to give me the best odds of KOing that Froakie this turn. I'm still missing the energy now. I do get the Bronzong, so yeah, apparently discarding the energy off of my hand based on that top deck was the wrong decision. Should have discarded the end maybe. I will use Metal Links. I will attach it to Aegislash. I will also attach the Fighting Fury Belt. I will play the Stadium. And basically I'm trying to thin out my deck in order for me to have the best odds of drawing a Metal Energy. Now here, Battle Compressor is probably the better decision. I want to get rid of anything that will or rather 3 cards that will not be useful anymore at this point in time. But see, it's too early to tell as well. And wow, there's 2 Bronzor priced actually. There are 2 Bronzor priced and like a billion Versus Seeker. 2 Versus Seekers as well. Wow. 2 Versus Seeker are priced as well. Huh. So that makes every discard harder. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the Skyfield. I'm going to get rid of... Trainer's Mail will not help me draw an energy next turn. Or rather this turn. And I guess the N. I'm gonna discard the N. I will play the Switch just so that I make my deck 1 card thinner. And now there's 4 energy left in our deck. We are drawing 6 cards, so in theory 1 of every 6 cards is an energy. We do get an energy, so I guess that works out in our favor. Purely mathematically, we should have drawn the energy. There was obviously no guarantee because the deck is randomized, but mathematically it was the right decision, if you will. So getting a turn to KO against Greninja is definitely useful. I do get a Lysander off of my prices, so still 2 Bronzors there, and still 2 Berserker, but that's not terrible because I will get a Bronzong next turn, and I will be able to use 2 Metal Links at least before my opponent can retreat or can do anything to hurt my Aegislash. He will water duplicates right now, but that's fine. I want to draw another energy because with another metal energy I can KO a Greninja no matter which one with 130 HP. And with 2 metal links, probably going on to a Genesect so that I have an option to 1 KO a Greninja break potentially. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting decision here. My opponent uses Battle Compressor, gets rid of Fisherman, and Lysander, and he's gonna water duplicates. So N is probably a godsend for that deck. I definitely appreciated having it, and no Frogadier priced. It's not ideal, but it's also not the end of the world. So the question here is, do I use a supporter? Probably not, because N would only give my opponent 2 extra cards. Lysander, there's no point in allowing my opponent to conserve an energy in play, and Sycamore would only get rid of more resources. So I'm gonna use a Trainer's Mail, see what I get. I'm gonna keep the Float Stone. Well, the thing is, I don't have any more metal energy in the discard pile, so that could be problematic. Definitely be problematic. I'm gonna attach the Floatstone to Genesect because there's no harm in doing so, because I can use the ability afterwards. Okay. Well, I'm going to Ultra Ball, but I don't think there's any Pokemon left that's useful. 2 Bronzor are priced, and I don't want to get rid of that Bronzong, so I'm going to use Sycamore just so that I can access that metal energy I was talking about and my potential switching cards, which I do, which is really nice. And yeah, okay, do I use Ultra Ball? It's probably going to use the 40 damage attack next turn, right? So yeah, I'm simply gonna attach an energy to Aegislash to make sure I can KO whatever Greninja comes up. And there we go. So 2 prize cards drawn now. I do get a Bronzor, so that's great as well. It's definitely good news in order for us to win this match. We're putting on a ton of pressure onto Greninja, but because of its abilities, he can definitely come back into this, especially because we do have 2 easy targets in Shaymin-EX on the bench. And yeah, maybe benching the Bronzor could be a liability as well, because 1 giant water shuriken would mean a KO. And he's going to Ace Trainer. Okay, so never mind. No no access to Bronzor. I will only draw 3 cards, which is not the end of the world. Our deck is quite thin at the moment, so we had a lot of potential to draw useful cards. My opponent does find a Froakie. And I mean, I do like Ace Trainer, and maybe a combination of both Ace Trainer and N is the best decision. But I don't know. N is so useful, and I know that I would not have won the regional championship last weekend if I had run Ace Trainer or if N had not been reprinted. I definitely would not have won it. Now my opponent smartly opted not to use Shadow Stitching because I have no Metal Energy in my discard pile, so it really would not have made a difference. So let's see here. I'm gonna Trainer's Mail. I'll grab the Ultra Ball only to make my deck thinner. Get access to those Metal Energy straight away. And yeah, there's nothing else I can do really. I mean, I need to be able to draw a prize every single turn to beat my opponent. To get a Verse Seeker, which is nice. Could lead me to use AC in order to potentially save the Aegislash. There's the Greninja Break. The good thing here is that he cannot get a KO, or what we need to do is prevent my opponent from getting a KO by using Shadow Stitching, because that would really suck and prevent us from really recovering and coming all out against him the next turn. But if my opponent doesn't KO Aegislash this upcoming turn, that's fine. I need a Verse Seeker, and there's only one Verse Seeker actually, so yeah, probably was not gonna draw that. Okay, so I really needed the Verse Seeker. I generally really needed the Verse Seeker. Or, well, I can Sycamore here, and I should access the Muscle Band, and that should give me a KO on the Greninja Break, unless he opts to use Shadow Stitching. Which would suck. He actually has 2 Greninja Breaks in play, but he hasn't used any ability, so maybe he didn't draw any Water Energy, which would be great for us, definitely. Would be great for us. In an ideal world, he uses Moonlight Slash 240. Okay, so he is going to get the, in an ideal world he KOs me. Yeah, he's gonna KO me, that's fine. Well, in an ideal world he didn't KO me and I would have used AZ, but this is okay because okay, I will promote Bronzong here. I can use the Floatstone from Genesect-EX in order to retreat that Bronzong. I'm gonna use Drive Change. I will return the Floatstone to my hand, attach it to Bronzong, and now with 2 Metal Links I can one-hit KO the Greninja Break, right? Because I will deal 180 damage, and that's the goal here. That is definitely the goal. Now I will bench the Bronzor. I'm gonna use the Super Rod to put back the Bronzong Break. You never know when it'll be useful. And these 2 simply because I want to be able to keep using Metal Links. And I'm going to Sycamore here. So I do find the Bronzong Break, which I can evolve into the active. I didn't find an energy though, which could be problematic, or a way to switch out Genesect. How much retreat does it have? 2 retreat cost. Ugh, that's gonna be a problem. That's definitely going to be a huge problem. But I guess we'll worry about that next turn. I mean, I could get the AC off of my, or the Verse Seeker rather, off of my prices, which would be ideal, of course. I'm gonna bench the Aegislash just in case he uses N, and I'm gonna attach the Muscle Band to the Aegislash as well. And yeah, I'm gonna use Rapid Blaster. I only need to discard 3 energy because I do have the Fighting Fury build adding 10, so that should be 170 damage, just enough to KO the Greninja Break. And yeah, we're in a good position. Let's see what my price is. First Seeker, perfect. If he doesn't end or uses Ace Trainer wouldn't be too hurtful. There's still a lot of cards that I can use in my deck. There's definitely another Verse Seeker in there. There's the Escape Rope, which would be useful as well. Okay, that's bad news. That is definitely bad news, the Megaphone. Was that my second? No, only my first Float Zone, so if I do have the other Float Zone there still, that's fine. As long as I use my abilities smartly, should be okay here. But yeah, man, that Float Zone hurts. And he gets the end, wow. So things are not looking too great at this point. Well, Escape Rope and Metal Energy actually. Yeah, but okay, that's not the Shadow Stitching Greninja. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect for us. No Shadow Stitching Greninja. So yeah, Giant Water Shuriken. He can KO Genesect. So I mean, I could, well, this is tough. This is going to be really tough. It's gonna miss Slash. Okay, so I'm not in Okay, I do top deck a Versus Seeker. So I have to really think this through. I have to think this through. What's my best play here? My best play would be to KO this Greninja Break, right? But I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I only have 2 abilities as well. I have to keep that in mind. So I'm gonna have to use Metal Links. I'm gonna have to power up Aegislash to get a KO. The problem, the big problem here is the fact that whenever my opponent decides to use Shadow Stitching, I'm gonna be in a ton of trouble. Okay, I get to Escape Rope here. Whatever my opponent brings up is getting KO'd. He's definitely gonna bring up Froakie. So the question is, should I Lysander? Because if I Lysander the Frogadier, that prevents my opponent from having access to Shadow Stitching next turn. And that means I can power up Genesect-EX and potentially KO anything except the Greninja Break, which I would need an extra energy to do that. But I think this is still my best play available to me. So I'm gonna Slash Blast here for 100 damage, the KO. Unless he runs Rare Candy, he cannot evolve into a Shadow Stitching Greninja next turn. I get an energy off of my prices, so unless he flips heads on Bubble, or, well, never mind, he can simply Giant Water Shuriken and KO Genesect-EX. Well, actually, because it has 108 HP, he needs to use Giant Water Shuriken and Water Shuriken onto Genesect-EX to get the KO. And actually, yeah, yeah, the energy guarantees I win, because there's 2 scenarios here. Well, he could end as well. He KOs Genesect, yeah, but that means Aegislash survives, and then I use 2 abilities onto Bronzong Break. I attach the energy, and I target Octillery or Frogadier. No matter what, gets KO'd, and I draw my last prize card. And if he doesn't KO Genesect-EX, I simply use 2 abilities, attach the energy, retreat, and KO the active. So this game is as good as done. definitely as good as done. And I generally think KOing the Frogadier was the best play, because if my opponent retreated and used Shadow Stitching this turn, then I would have been in a lot of trouble. So yeah, he's only gonna miss Slash. So who should I KO, Frogadier or Octillery? I'm gonna KO Octillery. And I even get a Verse Seeker, so there's no point in going for the fancy play. I'm just gonna Lysander and get my KO. But I had that option. I definitely had that option. And yeah, that's the game. Good game to my opponent, Dogstar 18. I definitely got really, well, I'm not gonna say I got lucky. The deck flowed pretty amazingly, and I managed to get a prize every single turn. And that's how you win against Greninja. That's definitely how you win against Greninja, by putting on so much pressure from turn 1, from the first turn you can attack, until the last turn. If you never miss a KO, that's how you beat Greninja. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow in the Spanish video. Don't forget to leave a like if you can on today's video, and if not, I'll see you guys back on Friday for the last day of Bronzong Break. Thank you guys, and bye bye.